Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to level up our Japanese by tackling something that, let's be honest, can trip a lot of us up: expressing certainty. Moving beyond just a simple yes or no to say things like maybe, or I'm pretty sure, or it must be. Nailing this is seriously a huge step towards sounding way more natural. So let me ask you this. When you're not 100% sure about something in Japanese, what's your go-to phrase? If you were anything like me when I started, you probably had one word for maybe and kind of used it for everything. But there's a whole world of expressions that can make you sound so much more specific and, so much more fluent. So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the basics, expressing simple possibility, your maybe. Then we'll crank it up to expressing strong conviction, the must be. And finally, we'll cover logical conclusions, or should be. And don't worry, we'll wrap it all up with a super simple guide on how to pick the right one.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, Guessing and Certainty. We're going to start with the most common, the most fundamental way to say you're not totally sure about something.
And that brings us to our first phrase, kamoshirenai. This is your absolute go-to for saying maybe or it might be. Just think of it as your foundation for making a simple guess about something. So the key thing to remember with kamoshirenai is that it's for a simple guess. You're not working with strong evidence, you don't have some deep gut feeling. You're really just tossing a possibility out there. And of course, to make it polite, you just swap it out for kamoshiremasen. Easy peasy. And you know what's awesome about this? The grammar is incredibly simple. You don't have to memorize any crazy conjugations or anything. You just stick kamoshirenai right on the end of the plain form of a verb, a noun, or an adjective. Let's see it in action. Okay, here it is with a verb. 彼は自宅にいるかもしれない. He might be at home. We just take the verb いる, which means to be, and tack on かもしれない. See, it's just a straightforward guess. Now let's try it with a noun. あなたのお子さんは天才かもしれない. Your child might be a genius. This time, it's attached directly to the noun 天才 or genius. You're just speculating about what or who someone is. And finally, here it is with an adjective. 価格が高いかもしれない. The price might be high. We just take the I adjective 高い and bam, add our phrase. You're just making a simple guess about a quality of something. All right, let's turn up the dial on our certainty level. What if it's more than just a random guess? What if you have this strong gut feeling, this personal conviction that something has to be true? Well, for that, we need a different tool. The word you really need to connect with nichigai-nai is subjective. This isn't about hard facts or evidence. This is all about your personal belief, your gut feeling. It's how you say, I'm sure that, or it must be. Check out this example. 彼女は中国語を話せるに違いない. Here, you're not just saying she might speak Chinese. No, you're expressing a strong belief. Maybe you saw her reading a book in Chinese, and now you have a strong personal feeling. It's your conclusion. Okay, let's get to our third and final expression. This one is for when your conclusion isn't just a gut feeling, but it's actually based on some kind of logic or evidence or a reasonable expectation. This one is for all the detectives out there. And this is where the difference becomes crystal clear. We went from a simple guess with kamoshirenai to a personal feeling with nichigai-nai, and now we've landed on hazeda, which is for an objective conclusion. You have a logical reason for what you're saying. Let's look at how this really works. The full sentence might be something like this. 彼女は中国に5年間住んでいたので、中国語を話せるはずだ. The first part, because she lived in China for 5 years, that's our evidence. That fact leads us to a logical conclusion. 中国語を話せるはずだ. She should be able to speak Chinese. It's based on reason, not just a hunch. Okay, so now we have our 3 key phrases. Each one is tied to a different kind of reasoning, a simple guess, a strong feeling, or a logical conclusion. Let's put them all side by side to really lock in these differences. This table really lays out that whole spectrum of certainty perfectly, doesn't it? At one end, you've got kamoshirenai for just a simple guess. In the middle, there's nichigai-nai for that strong subjective feeling. And then at the top, with the most certainty, you have hazeda for a conclusion based on actual evidence. So it really all comes down to asking yourself one simple question. Why do I think this? If your answer is, it's just a guess, use kamoshirenai. If it's, I just have a really strong feeling about this, use nichigai-nai.
And if you can say, well, because of X, Y, and Z, then you're going to want to use hasda. You know, getting these phrases right is so much more than just good grammar. It's really a sign of an advanced speaker. You're showing that you can communicate not just facts, but your whole thought process, your feelings, your reasoning. It's adding those subtle shades of meaning that really bring a language to life. So what conclusion will you draw next?